Something monumental just happened in Southeast Asia. A nation once dismissed as second tier is now at the center of a digital, economic, and geopolitical storm. Malaysia has risen, and it didn't ask for permission. It's building the internet's backbone, hosting the world's AI, redefining who controls the flow of money, code, and power. And in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump is watching it unfold, and he's not pleased. This isn't some regional reshuffle. It's a direct hit to American influence. It affects where you work, what your dollar's worth, and where the future is being engineered. What just happened? Malaysia just overtook Singapore, and the ripple effects? They're headed straight for your job, your investments, and your freedom to move. This is a seismic shift, and it's only just begun. On the Malaysia Surge. In early 2024, Malaysia crossed a critical threshold. Its GDP surged past $450 billion, powered by aggressive infrastructure expansion, surging digital adoption, and historic investment pledges. This was their pivotal moment. Microsoft committed $2.2 billion to Malaysia's cloud and AI infrastructure, their largest investment in the region to date. Just weeks later, Amazon Web Services announced a new cloud region in Johor, and Google signed a national digitalization pact. Malaysia's Deputy Prime Minister declared, "We are done waiting. This is our digital century." The world listened. Digital nomads began streaming in under the new 2-year DE Rantau visa. Within months, over 1,000 new remote workers arrived, each injecting thousands into the economy. They weren't just visiting, they were building lives, teams, and entire companies. Now, Malaysia's capital is transforming. Rooftop co-working spaces, 5G zones, high-speed fiber everywhere. Rent? Half of San Francisco. Infrastructure? Built for scale. Malaysia didn't wait for permission. It built the future. But that rise triggered a response, and Donald Trump wasn't silent. 2. Trump responds. When the news hit Mar-a-Lago, Trump exploded. Sources say he slammed his desk, furious that Malaysia, not China, had leapt ahead of Singapore. He said, "How the hell did we let this happen?" Trump fired back online, "We built the future in America. Now we're handing it to Malaysia? Not on my watch." For Trump, this wasn't economics. It was personal. Singapore hosted the Trump-Kim summit. Now, Malaysia stole the stage. And this time, it wasn't just rhetoric. The region shifted overnight. 3. The regional shakeup. Singapore's sheen is slipping. GDP growth down to 1.1%. Startups retreating. Global HQs moving to Kuala Lumpur, Johor, even Penang. Malaysia's FDI up 37% in 2024. While Singapore lost 6% of its regional HQs, Malaysia gained 14%. Logistics, banking, fintech, all migrating across the strait. Malaysia's not just competing, it's leading. And Singapore's crown? It's halfway down the drain. But for Americans, the impact isn't distant, it's personal. 4. The consequences for Americans. For American nomads, investors, and remote workers, Malaysia isn't just cheaper, it's smarter. 1. Remote workers rent 70% cheaper. $2 coffees. Rooftop condos for Ton 200. KL becomes Silicon Valley, but with palm trees. 2. Entrepreneurs, 17% tax rate. Tech grants. Affordable talent. Valley founders are building from KL, not SF. 3. Retirees and investors, strong dollar. 6% rental yields. MM2H visa opens long-term doors. 4. U.S. policy. Fallout, Washington scrambles. Talks of reshoring, visa reform, tech sanctions. But Malaysia keeps building. This isn't a trend. It's a transformation. Meet Jason Miller. He left California when his rent topped $4,200 a month. Today, he codes from a beachfront cafe in Penang, pays less than $1,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment, and manages a remote team spanning 3 continents. "I'm working less and living more," Jason says, "and it's all because I made one bold move. I left." Jason's story isn't rare. It's the beginning of a trend. Skilled Americans leaving behind inflated cities and over-regulated tech hubs for something leaner, smarter, and far more connected. And what Malaysia did next was its boldest move yet. 5. Malaysia's digital gold rush. Malaysia didn't wait for Silicon Valley's approval. It made its own future. Cloud power, Microsoft, AWS, Google-built data centers. KL is now a digital command post. AI leap, 300-plus startups, local language AI models faster than Valley deployment. Fintech grab, crypto-friendly regulations. KL attracts startups fleeing US red tape. 5G control national rollout complete. Rural-urban, connected and climbing. This isn't outsourcing, it's sovereignty, and US intelligence is watching. So what happens when your future runs on foreign servers? The US is about to find out. 6. The US under pressure. The alarms are blaring. Congress is demanding answers. Tech CEOs are on defense. Talent drain. American STEM grads are going, not to Europe, but to KL. Corporate exodus, 12 US companies opening Malaysian campuses. 2 tied to defense AI. Military risks. Pentagon briefings reveal US cyber assets now hosted overseas. Leverage lost. Operation Reclaim, a 3-phase plan. Bring servers home, penalize offshoring, and compete for global talent. But momentum? That's already Malaysia's game. And what's coming next isn't just business. It's global conflict in code. 7. The war for the next internet. This is the new battlefield. Cloud, AI, currency, and Malaysia just opened all 3 fronts. Infrastructure. Malaysia, backed by Chinese and Gulf capital, is laying subsea cables that bypass Singapore entirely. These routes don't just carry data, they carry leverage. By controlling the flow of digital traffic, Malaysia is beginning to shape who accesses what and at what cost. AI race, Malaysian startups are now building language models in Bahasa, Tamil, Arabic. Localized, fast, and culturally tuned. In 2024, one Malaysian firm beat Google to land a regional AI healthcare deal in Kenya. Their edge? Real-world nuance and low latency. What if scenario? Imagine US companies having to rent AI infrastructure hosted in KL to serve Asia and Africa. It's no longer far-fetched. If trends hold, that future could be just 2 years away. Digital currency shift. Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia are testing a blockchain-based payment corridor that bypasses SWIFT and reduces dependency on the US dollar. Trades settle in seconds. Sanctions become harder to enforce. And American economic influence? Fading. Malaysia's state-supported content hubs are churning out AI-assisted media in local dialects, reshaping public opinion across ASEAN before Western outlets even break the news. This isn't just about technology. It's about worldview. Who tells the story and who gets silenced. And that's why Trump's next move might shock the world. The new Cold War begins. It's not missiles, not tanks. It's code. It's cables. It's consent. This is Cold War 2.0, and Malaysia is building a new world where the US doesn't write the rules. Ideological divide, KL's strategy? Build deep, partner wide, skip the headlines. Trump's response? Digital sovereignty now, possible investment bans. A firewall strategy, future battle lines. This new alliance between Malaysia, Indonesia, UAE, could rewrite trade, tech, and trust. But behind the policy shifts and power plays lies something more personal. Stories like Sarah's. She's a 42-year-old UX designer from Portland. Laid off in early 2024, she took a leap and moved to Kuala Lumpur. Within 6 months, she landed a new role, cut her living expenses in half, and launched a non-profit design mentorship collective. I found more than work, she says. I found meaning. In the last Cold War, America led. In this one, it's scrambling to keep up. But people like Sarah, they're not waiting. They're moving, adapting, thriving. And maybe it's time you did too. If this story shook you, share it, because the mainstream media won't. Hit like, hit subscribe, drop a comment. Is the West ready for a world it doesn't control?